Okay. I'm going to wait a few minutes for you guys to maybe find me over here. I'm so sorry. The other stream just died. Let me delete that one off. Let me, 1 second. I'm here. I'm here. I'm going to turn the other one off and go back to this one. All right. Hi. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why the last stream just died. I didn't have to reboot or anything. I just closed the browser using the other software and opened a new one using YouTube directly. So I have to send in a report. But let me give people a few minutes, hopefully, to find me again. I mean, I think there was maybe a dozen people here before, and now we're back to 7. Wow, not a big day for streaming, I guess. Everybody's out on vacation and enjoying their here in the U.S. It's Labor Day, so a lot of people are off, including myself. But one of the reasons I'm streaming today instead of like my normal Tuesday, like I missed last Tuesday and I'm gonna miss tomorrow Tuesday, is I'm sorry, I got a couple of photo jobs, and they just happen to be on Tuesdays. So I can't stream and do a photo job at the same time, unfortunately. But let me fix the chat window real quick. And so this one, I'm sorry, give me a minute. Normally I have all this set up before I start to stream, but I didn't expect to go live just immediately after the other one died. I need to fix my windows here. There we go. All right. Well, I'm starting actually probably at the same time I normally do anyway, right? I'm always late, but thanks for everyone being here today. I really appreciate it, and your patience of you know, getting lost in the other stream and coming to this one. I don't know why. I don't know why it died on me. It just would not come up. So I'll send the ticket in to that. And excuse me. Walter's here. Lauren, Serge, Randy. Good to see you. Michael, Scott, John Yutze. Good to see everybody. Oh, Abba's back too. Are you serious? Is Abba back? I love Abba. I don't know, I got a couple of their albums, like, and their greatest hits and stuff. I haven't listened to them in a long time though, but I really did like their music. I even got one of their concerts on DVD, which is great. Wow, a new album coming soon? Are you guys serious? That would be crazy. Oh, Lewis is here. How are you? It has been a long time. If you didn't say so, I would have thought you were a brand new user. I'm sorry. And, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Walter? It's Walter's here. Good to see you. I guess it's you and Debbie. You have your day off today. That's awesome. Wow. My day is, I don't know. I need to follow up. So, oh, and thanks, John. I saw a comment earlier about my last couple videos this week. Yeah, there was a lot of great feedback on the videos, including from Walter and a few others about the one-touch white balance, because I'll probably do a follow-up video to address some of the issues that were brought up. But I think in Walter, it mentioned that it may be hard to see on a monitor or through YouTube the variations in color. And I thought they came out okay. They were pretty close to what I was seeing on my screen when I watched the video again, so it wasn't bad. I mean, obviously can't pixel peep and do things like that, but color-wise, it seemed pretty close, at least fairly representative of what I actually got in real life. And some of the comments were about the white paper now has some sort of fluorescent chemical in it. And I assume that's to reduce the yellowing of the paper over time. You know, but the side effect is it's a little bit off when it comes to doing white balance or one-touch white balance using a piece of paper. So what people recommended, or what others have recommended, is find ones that are UV-free chemicals, or use tissue paper. So I thought that was interesting, tissue paper or toilet paper. So I may redo the experiment or the testing I did using tissue paper, toilet paper, and I actually do have a legit gray card, like a regular one. Because you can buy the gray, white, black cards for, you know, $10 now. Get a whole kit. I think the gray cards are better to do white balance with than the white cards, even though technically the white cards I think are the best to use. If you're going to do white balance, use a white card, but the challenge I have with using white cards is sometimes they're overexposed, and when you do post-processing and want to correct for white balance, the eyedropper is not able to pick up the color because it's been clipped. So there's no color to adjust for. So gray cards, I think, sort of mitigate that to some extent, so that you do capture all of the colors that you would need to adjust white balance for. And Druid's here, Music Sound Gear. Brian, good. Says you just picked up an EM10 Mark II. Oh, awesome. I'm glad the videos are helping. It's a great camera. I mean, I could go out and take that camera with me on any photo job today and still get great results. I just use the EM1 Mark III now because I have it, but workflow-wise, the only advantage is really with this camera over the EM10 Mark II is, you know, the custom buttons here. We have 4 built right into the dial, so that helps me in terms of workflow. And then also, you know, the longer battery life, right? I can do a whole job on one battery. I could probably do 2 or 3 jobs on one battery, but that'd be pushing it 3. But definitely I could probably do 2 jobs because my batteries, you know, I might take 300 or 400 shots, which isn't a lot, but the camera's on for, you know, a couple of hours, right? And so the camera will stay on for a couple hours and give me 300 or 400 shots, and my battery life is usually only down to about 60% at that point. So I could probably get through 1 more photo job. And yeah, probably just 1 more at most. So typically I can get about 3 hours of run time, regardless of how many pictures I take. And that's why those SEPA tests, right? They talk about you can get 300 shots, 400 shots using their testing. I mean, it's great to kind of put every camera on the same plane, everything being equal. You can measure the battery life, but in real life, you know, you got to look at like sort of like boats, right? They look at the number of hours the engine were running instead of how many miles. With cameras, I like to think of it in terms of how many hours can I use the camera continuously, regardless how many shots or how much video I take. So just another way to think about battery life in your camera. I mean, the EM10 on a brand new factory original battery, I can probably go about 1.5 hours of shooting. Because Lord knows, we've all gotten thousands of pictures on a single battery, regardless of what the SEPA ratings say. You know, because we're using silent shutter or, you know, continuous shooting, things like that. You can get thousands of shots on a single card. But in terms of runtime, you probably will never get more than 1 hour, 1.5 hours out of a single battery on that. But on the EM1s, I get consistently close to 3 hours. Like these live streams, you know, now that I got the screen closed, I used to leave the screen open, but that drained the battery faster. When I close the screen, the EVF and the live view turns off, I can get over 3 hours on a battery just live streaming. So the only thing's running, I turn the IBIS off, but the autofocus is running, and then of course the sensor. And with only those two things going, without having to write to a memory card or anything like that, you know, easily over 3 hours. Okay, let's see. Serge says, I sold all my Olympus OMD M10 Mark II and focus on the OM1 Mark II. Yes. I wish I could do that. I just have a hard time giving up cameras. I mean, I got cameras I'll probably never use again, but I can't sell them. I just can't let go. It's just either, you know, I won't get much for them is probably the biggest reason. Like if I could get closer to retail price for them, I might trade them in, but you get like pennies on the dollar when you trade. Like if I trade my EM1 Mark II in, I might get like $200 for it, right? On trade. You know, if I shop around maybe 250 to 300, but I'm like, for that little bit of money, I'd just rather keep it, right? And then of course, you know, the cameras, some have sentimental value to them, right? Like my dad's camera, I'm going to keep forever, even though I'll probably never use it. I should take it out. It works fine. It's an old SRT 101 Minolta. And I bought a light meter so that I don't have to depend on the internal light meter. But that, I really want to get some more photo walks in this week. I mean, I did a couple last week, but they were just not, they were okay. You know, I didn't really get any epic images out of them. I mean, epic on a Robtrek scale, like, you know, I think, you know, like I liked them. I didn't like a lot of the pictures I took this week or last week. So I got a photo job tomorrow. I'll try and vlog it if I can. I'm on a little bit of a tight schedule with that property. It's going to be a townhouse out in Sterling. If I can, I'll try and vlog it, but the schedule is tight because I have to be out by 11:30, and I probably won't get there till 10. So you know, if I do vlogging on top of doing a photo job, I really need a couple of hours. But we'll see. We'll see if I can squeeze it in. I'll do it. Not that the real estate vlogs get much traction on YouTube, but you know, that's not why I do it really. I do it just because I enjoy it and I like to share my experience with everyone. And in some way it helps people sometimes, right? Sometimes it doesn't. And Serge is asking, do you think it's important to update the firmware of my EM1 Mark II to 3.5 if I don't have? I don't think it's important. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The thing is, you know, the firmwares, I noticed they don't always list everything that they corrected in a firmware update on the website. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but sometimes they put additional fixes in there that they don't publish. But if you're not having any problems with your camera and you're on a 3.0 or higher already, I mean, I think everyone should upgrade to at least 3.0 on the Mark II because they had some autofocus improvements and things like that. But after that, if they're just lens updates or flash updates or minor things, I don't bother updating. You know, I'll check the update, and sometimes I don't update my firmware either until something more significant comes along, because especially right after they release a firmware, immediately after, because it's rare, but time to time they'll release a firmware and there'll be a bug in it, and then they won't know about it until users start complaining, you know, my camera's bricked, or, you know, nothing that extreme, I hope, but they find problems. I think there was one recently with the Pen F, maybe, or one of the OMDs. They did have an issue with one of the firmwares, so about a month later they released a new one to fix what they broke. So if a firmware just comes out, I don't recommend updating to it right away. I would just wait about 30, 60 days and see if there's any feedback or another firmware that comes out immediately after the one they just released to fix something they may have broken. And I'm especially very slow to update when it's like a simple thing like a lens update, right? All they did was add the ability to focus stack, I think, if you're using the 8 to 25 Pro. So yeah, it's not important. If there's nothing wrong with the way the camera's operating, I would say, you know, there's no need to update. 3.0 or higher, definitely, but nothing. If you're already on 3.0 or higher, you don't need 3.5. Lewis says, I'm still holding on my EM10 Mark II. What's your suggestion for upgrade, EM10 Mark III or EM5? Definitely EM5. EM10 Mark III, you're going to find a lot of, if you use the features, but there's a lot of features that were taken out of the EM10 Mark III and 4 that are on the EM10 Mark II. One is, I believe, you know, silent shutter, right? You can't operate silent shutter unless you're in one of the advanced modes, which means you're going to be in program mode with silent shutter. And gosh, there's a myriad of little things like that, right? Like it's much harder to, I think people are having problems using it as a webcam because there wasn't a clean HDMI out. There were some other settings that were missing. I honestly, I can't remember what they are now. But that's why I never upgraded to the Mark III or the Mark IV personally, because I saw initially the problems or the more advanced features that were missing from it. Now, the EM5 Mark II and the EM5 Mark III are both excellent cameras. The EM5 Mark II, weather sealed, everything is in there. It's fully packed with every feature, just like the EM10 Mark II was, plus a little bit more. It has high-res shot mode. Is the one thing off the top of my head. It has, gosh, I can't remember. Just showing my age here. But I know from the EM5 Mark II to the EM5 Mark III, the only real advancement between the two cameras is in the autofocusing. The autofocusing on the EM5 Mark III is much better because it uses a phase detect, contrast detect, like a hybrid focus, and it's definitely much better, particularly in low light. I can say that the phase detect is not that great on either camera. Once you get more than 2 or 3 meters away from the camera, you know, the phase detect is not too reliable. But the EM5, the EM1 Mark III really has an amazing phase detect. It's as good as any camera system out there, in my opinion, within reason, right? I mean, I don't want to split hairs at once you get 10 or 15 meters out. You may find some cameras are a little better than others, but if you're within 5 meters of the camera, you're not going to have any problems with phase detect on the EM1 Mark III. So my advice would be EM5 Mark II, or if you can get a good deal on an EM1 Mark II, assuming you don't mind that form factor, it's, you know, with the full grip and everything, the EM1 Mark II would be an excellent upgrade from the EM10 Mark II. Because really, the EM5 Mark II, the only thing it really adds over the EM10 Mark II is weather sealing, high-res shot mode, right? And there might be some other things, like it'll do tethering. So it has some more professional features, but so does the EM1 Mark II. The EM1 Mark II has everything, plus dual card slots, plus a bigger battery, plus a more customizable mode dial. It has C1, 2, and 3 on it. And I would argue a better autofocus system. Well, not argue, it definitely has a better autofocus system than the EM5 Mark II. So those are my thoughts. And you can get an EM1 Mark II cheaper than an EM5 Mark III in a lot of times. So that would be my suggestion there. Yeah, Randy can't sell his stuff either. I know. One thing about my Nikon, Lauren says, one thing about my Nikon D3500 is battery life is 1,500 shots. It's awesome. And when I got the camera, an extra battery was included. As for the camera, most I do keep forever. Yes. Yeah, the DSLRs, man, you can't beat the battery life if you're just using the optical viewfinder. Because the only thing that drains the battery when you're not taking a picture is just the metering, maybe. You know, and the metering probably shuts off automatically until you half press the shutter button again. So it's virtually in a sleep mode all the time until you take a picture. So that's why you get so many shots. I mean, if you were to put the 3500 in live view mode, if it has that feature, it probably won't last very long. You know, 30 minutes to an hour tops. Meaning use it as a mirrorless camera instead of as a DSLR. Not that anybody should do that. Music Sound Gear says, the longer they stay on the shelf not being used, the less and less valuable they are. 300 to 400 isn't too bad. Unlike housing, used items lose value. Yeah, usually, right? Usually that's the case, unless for some reason they become collectible. Like, you know, and other things too, right? The economy makes a little bit of a difference. I mean, things are getting more expensive across the camera market for, you know, for various reasons that I can't get into because, you know, I'm not an economist or, you know, whatever. But I was looking at my Mazda. I have a 2017 Mazda 6, right? And about a year ago, a little over a year ago, you could buy them used for 13, 14,000. You know, so that meant the trade-in value was like 10 or 11,000. I went online today and the trade-in value is up to like 15,000 on it. It's gone up. And it's been about a year and a half since I looked. I just couldn't believe my eyes. I mean, it was shocking. It's making me think I could trade that sucker in and get something a little more fun than a sedan. You know, maybe a small SUV or Mazda Miata. Man, I wanted that car so bad for a while, but I couldn't do it because, and that's why I was looking a year and a half ago, because after my uncle and my dad passed away, I didn't really need a four-door sedan with a big trunk. And that was the primary reason I bought it. I needed a large, in it. The Mazda has a great, nice trunk. Well, anyway, after they passed, I didn't really need it. And because I go everywhere by myself, 99.999% of the time. So I need either a vehicle that will take me places like an SUV with a little less stress, or something smaller and more fun like a Miata. It's not very practical though to carry some of the gear that I need to carry on my photo jobs. Like I have a 16-foot pole that would be pretty difficult to carry. It collapses down to like 6 feet or 8 feet or something. It collapses down, but I wouldn't be able to take that in a Miata. And I use that for my pole shots for the sort of bird's eye view of some of the properties and some video. But anyway, let's see what else we got here. Oh, nice. You're gonna get your you're gonna buy your car. Good, Randy. Is that that white SUV I see you driving? I think it's a Ford. And Jonas says the EM5 Mark II is really an excellent camera. Only thing I miss is 4K video. Yes. It is an excellent camera. I mean, I have one. God knows why, but I have one. It's there's, you know, if you can get an EM5 Mark II and the contrast detect autofocus is working for you now, like on the EM10 Mark II, it's a nice upgrade. I see them for about $400 or less, in excellent condition. And at that price, I think it makes a good first camera, but I don't know about upgrading from an EM10 Mark II. I would say an EM1 Mark II would be a better upgrade, a substantial upgrade. The EM5 Mark II is just a subtle upgrade, just some more features, right? Mic jack, high-res shot mode, weather sealing, arguably a much better build quality. It's solid. But so is the EM1 Mark II. It has all of that and more. You know, dual card slots, bigger battery, and then all the other features that you would find, right? The auto. Anyway, we went over that. David Tellez says, found a tip that on all Micro Four Thirds cameras, if you press the lens release button, the lens will go to infinity or close to it. Works on my EM10 Mark II. Can I confirm? No. My camera turns off when I press the lens release button. You did say lens release button, right? So I'm going to press and hold the lens release button, and it just turns off. That's my EM1 Mark III. Let me see. Let me try the EM5 Mark II, since we're talking about it. Here it is right here, mint. If someone gave me $400 for this now, I might take it. But anyway. Okay. Press and hold the lens release button. Nope. My camera just shuts off, see? So, yeah. Myth busted. EM10 Mark II. You got the EM10 Mark II. Let me try my EM10 Mark II since I have it. Hold on. I don't know if I can find it. It's buried in my dry cabinet here. I just used, oh, dummy. Oh. My EM10 Mark II is right mounted on this thing here. I just need to get a battery. Oh. Okay. This one I have actually plugged in, so let's see. Press and hold the lens release button. No, same thing. It just shuts off. So, and I got the 12 to 40 Pro attached to that camera, so it's not a lens thing. If any lens is going to work, it'll be that one. If you press the lens release button, it will go to infinity. All right, I've been pressing and holding, so let me try and just press it. So if I just press it, let me change the focus. All right, let me press it. Well, it did change focus, but I don't know if that's infinity focus. Let me try my EM5. There's no power. It's a battery. Hi, Ellie. All right. So I'm going to focus on something close. Oh, I got back button focus set up. Yeah, there we go. Nope. On my EM5 Mark II, just pressing the lens release button doesn't change the focus at all. It's still focused on something very close to the camera. So I don't see it. But I don't know. Show me next time I see you, David. I would love to see if that's the case. Randy says it works on his. If you press the lens release button, the lens will go to infinity focus. My EM5 Mark II doesn't even change focus. Here, I'll show you. Let me plug it in. Oh, I got some other news too, but hold on. So I'm gonna focus on my tripod like this. So now I'm focused there. Let me point to my kitchen. I'm gonna push the lens release button. See, it doesn't change. But if I go back, you can see that the tripod is still pretty much in focus. And if I press and hold and let go, nothing. So you guys are lying. All right, so maybe it's on the M10 Mark II. I'd have to, let me take it off of here. I'm sorry spending so much time on this, but this is fascinating to me. Let me see if I can take this off without breaking any wires. So let's put it in aperture priority. Put it in autofocus. Sometimes my 12 to 40 Pro is a little flaky. All right. How come you guys can't see? Okay, let me plug in the HDMI cable so you guys can watch. All right, so here's my 12 to 40 Pro. I'm focused here on my hole puncher. Now let me just press the, oh, look at that. On the M10 Mark II, it does refocus because it's no longer focused on my hole puncher, but it is focused on my kitchen. Hold on, let's zoom in. Now, focus, oops, yeah. So I'm focused on my swing line hole puncher. We'll go out here. Well, I'll be damned. On the M10 Mark II, this works. Kind of. But this is the only thing it works on. It didn't work on any of my other cameras. Learn something new every day. I don't think it's a tip that I can share, like in a whole video about it, but I'll have to test it outside and see if it's really very close to infinity focus or not, like maybe on the stars or the moon at night, because that would be pretty amazing. And then I'm going to see if I can find some documentation on it too. But that's a cool tip. Where'd you hear about that? Oh, Michael is adding to the M5 Mark II. It has a higher shutter speed. So yeah, you can go from 1/4000th mechanical shutter to 1/8000th mechanical shutter from the M10 to the M5. And then the silent shutter, I think, is like the maximum is 1/16,000th of a second on the EM10, but it's 1/32,000th of a second on the EM5. So yeah, there is some difference. Yeah, that could be a significant difference depending on what you use the camera for. My opinion, for most enthusiasts, I think still the EM1 Mark II would be a better upgrade. But that's why the EM5 Mark II is such a great camera. It has everything. It has everything. Really. It is really a game changer, in my opinion, back when it first came out. And the price point was pretty high. But that's because it didn't check a lot of the boxes, I think, back then that people were looking for in a camera, Well, it did, but, because it was a Micro Four Thirds versus APS-C or full frame, people just didn't look at that camera. People that didn't know any better, so to speak. I don't want to call people that didn't know any better. I shouldn't say that, but it continues this myth about Micro Four Thirds. It's not a real camera, or it's a toy camera. It's I see it time to time, and it's unfortunate because it's spreading like disinformation, in my opinion. It's not the camera. I can get great images out of almost any camera, regardless of the sensor size. So sensor size is rarely a determining factor for me when I look at a camera. I look at the feature set, the ergonomics, things like that. And then if it looks cool, those things are more important to me than the sensor size. Like the TG5, tiny sensor, but it's a great little camera and takes great pictures, if you work around the limitations of the sensor. And people that are competent photographers know what those limitations are. So you work within the limitations. Like, for example, when I went on a photo walk with Walter a couple of weeks ago, we went to a car show, and he saw me bracketing a lot. He was like, "Oh, I hear your shutter going off." I says, "Yeah, I'm bracketing. It's a Micro Four Thirds, so I have to bracket a little more to capture the dynamic range I want." And and it made complete sense to him, right? He's not being critical. He's not saying anything bad about the camera. He was just acknowledging the same thing I am, that if you want to capture a wider dynamic range, the smaller the sensor, the more likely you probably should bracket your shots just to be safe. But that said, the dynamic range on our cameras are really good. And regardless of your sensor size, you really should not be capturing more than 7 stops of dynamic range in an image if you're going to post-process. Because beyond that, regardless of sensor size, the camera's going to struggle retaining colors, and and there's going to be noise in the shadows areas, the highlights are going to be clipped, etc. So anyhow, that's for another discussion. And Randy says the M5 Mark III is my main video cam. Yeah, it's a great for video. Yes, the M5 II can also be a webcam because it does have a tethering capability, although I think it's still limited to 720p. My opinion really is I think most people can just get away with a webcam. I mean, I use the M1 Mark II as my webcam. But the overhead, right, all the gear that I have to make that work with my computer, because I got a HDMI switch box. I guess that's all you need is an HDMI converter. But it's on a tripod. It's mounted kind of far away from me. And believe it or not, I'm using the Panasonic 25mm f1.7 lens on it. And Panasonic lenses, you know, they do give you some trouble sometimes on our contrast cameras like the M5 Mark II, but for video work, look at that. It works just fine for on the M1s that have the phase detect. Maybe not as fast, right? See it, but it's acceptable. And there might be some settings I can change. But who does this in real life in their videos? I hate these tests. I hate all these tests where people are dodging in and out of the frame, running back and forth. I'm like, if I was the camera guy, I would just say, stand effing still, please, if I'm going to record you. You know, it just seems silly to me. These tests are not real life. I mean, I get it. You want to test the face detect and, you know, how responsive the camera is and how quickly it can acquire focus on the intended subject. But in real life, I just don't see how that's a legitimate test. Because of the chip shortage, used cars are way more valuable. Yeah, I just can't believe. I can't believe the value of my car. The trade-in value now is more than the retail was a year and a half ago. It's just shocking to me. I mean, I guess alternatively, trading my car in, you know, is offset by the increased price of a newer used car anyway. So maybe the value, the difference that I'm getting it's going to be washed out anyway. I mean, they get you coming and going, especially with car dealerships and stuff. Okay. Rob, you could get a Miata or a Mustang with a stick. The thing is, no cars are available. Yeah, there's some used ones around. And you like the C5s. Yes, Roberto, the MX-5 is the Miata. That's a Ford Escort four-wheel drive. Huh, Randy? Okay. Yeah, just keep it. If it's been running well for you. Yeah. Oh, hey, Owen, how are you? Owen has a question. Any suggestions on minimum spec for a laptop to run Photoshop? I guess I mean, I would get any 6-core or 8-core computer. Most of the computers now are 6 or 8 core. I mean, we're talking about $800 and up, okay, in terms of pricing. So I would get a minimum 6-core, 8-core CPU, whether it's Intel or AMD. AMD's kind of got the edge right now. And then I would get at least 16 gig of RAM and at least a terabyte and SSD drive built in, not a mechanical drive. So you throw those things in, and we're talking at least, you know, $1,100, $1,200 at that point. And, you know, the G14, the Asus G14 is the one that I use. They have a newer version out now. But either one, the one that I bought last year or the one that is coming out, that has come out since then, the Asus G14 is excellent. If you don't mind a 14-inch screen, I can't use a 14-inch screen. I use an external monitor, so you want to get an external monitor if you're going to buy that laptop and use it. And I'm all about laptop life. If you want a desktop type scenario, same things apply. You know, 6 or 8 core CPU and 16 gig of RAM and a terabyte. Now, if you can get a dedicated video card from NVIDIA They have two versions now, the 2060 and the 3060. Either one is fine for Photoshop. The advantage you get is, you know, it adds an extra 6 gig of video RAM to help with your rendering if you do video. But now Photoshop now has some neural processing and some other things that take advantage of the video card processing. So you'll get better processing with a dedicated video card as well. So that would be the third and last thing I would look at when you talk about Photoshop. Now, most of the processes in Photoshop are single thread. There's not too many multi-threads, so there's an argument that you don't even need an 8-core or 6-core. You can go down to 4-core. But it's you want to future-proof a little bit, because there's a lot of processes out there that use multi-core, that have multi-core processing. So don't handicap, you know, your computer because Photoshop doesn't take advantage of all those cores and all the memory. You want to get at least those specs, I think, to where your computer should be good for at least 2 years. You know, I tend to trade out computers every 2 years because there's generally a significant upgrade every 2 years. Like I went from 4-core to 6-core to 8-core every 2 years. The 6-core to 8-core is a little bit questionable. I didn't see a huge leap in performance. So I probably should have waited a little bit, maybe bought something this year instead of last year. But that's why I'm saying 6 or 8-core is fine. I didn't see any appreciable difference in Photoshop between my two computers. Not even in video processing did I see a big difference from 6-core to 8-core, believe it or not. I mean, some, but not $1,500 worth, you know, or actually I paid a little more once I upgraded the RAM and SSDs and stuff. But okay, so that hopefully that helps. Aperture shuts when the lens press. Okay. Oh my God. I hope you're not serious, Roberto. Roberto says he pressed it and the lens fell off and hit the dog on the head and broke. I hope that's not true. I think with reset lens to off, it will not work. Huh. I'm gonna look into it. This whole thing. That is an interesting feature. Put it in manual focus first and press the release button. So anyway, let me skip a lot of these because I did get it to work. I'll have to test it some more though. But the reset lens on is required. Okay. I'm gonna have to share this with Ben. He may not even know this tip. That's a really interesting thing. On the EM10 Mark II, is it possible to hide the face tracking? Yes. Jimmy, okay. That was only 10 minutes ago. I've done it. Let me see if I can demonstrate it. It's been a while since I've done it, but I have done it. Let's see. Let me plug in my HDMI. Turn this on. Okay, I'm going to put it into movie mode. And let me go to continuous AF, make sure face detect is on. Yep. All right, and let's go to a clean HDMI out. And let me find a face. Well, maybe my face. See? No. No face detect box. So the trick is, I think, like if I turn this off, I think the problem you're having is this, right? You're getting this in your thing. So what you want to do is you want to press and hold the info button, okay? And then that will go away. So right now, you can see I got like the no card in the slot. If I press the OK button, I get the control panel. If I press and hold the info button and let go, you can see everything disappears, and now I get a clean HDMI out. And if I put my face in the frame, it should focus. Is it going to focus or not? Maybe if I let go of the lens. I think it's not focusing on me. Why is that? Let me double check my settings. Continuous AF. Manual, that's fine. Full HD. So focus is on. Turn this. Oh, there we go. Let's see if it focuses on my dry cabinet. It's not. Oh, please. 1 second. Let me check my apertures and stuff. Because it's relatively dark in this room. Face detect. Let's just put aperture priority. All right. So I'm focused now. Far away. Hello. Focus on my face. There we go. Now it's focused on my face. It's contrast to text, so you know. If we go back to my box or my dry cabinet, come back to me. I'm a little bit too close. All right, let's go back. Oh, let me turn off the face detect. But that's how you do it. I don't know why I'm struggling with autofocus today. Seems fine here. That seems good. How about up close? It should focus on this, because I'm in continuous autofocus. I'm forgetting something. Maybe. Let me, I can't see the screen. AF mode, full-time AF on. So that should do it. Yeah, there we go. I had to turn the full-time autofocus on. Now it's focusing. See if I come down here. I mean, it's a little slow, but now it's working. Perfectamundo. All right. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've used my EM10 Mark II. But yeah, turn the full-time autofocus on, press and hold the info button to get a clean HDMI out, and the face detect box will disappear. I need my green screen back, even though the green screen was boring. Just as blue. Let's get a better green screen out. How about a beach? Yeah. There. Now I'm on the beach. Okay. Let's see, any other questions here? Let me scroll down. Reset lens no-go on the M5.3. Yeah, try that. I don't know. I'm gonna research it. Where is it? Ellie test my focus. Where is she anyway? Oh, she's passed out down here. I should show you guys a picture of Ellie here. She hangs close to me now when we're inside. But she's down here, passed out. Ellie, say hi to everybody. This'll get her. Are you hungry? You want a treat? There she is. That's right. All right. I love my dog. All right. Let's see. Rob Trek, thinking of a drone. What are your thoughts? Not so much. I've had a drone for a couple of years. I've only used it once in my house. I need to get out somewhere that I can actually use it, but I don't know. I'm just not a drone. Drone doesn't, I mean, it's amazing the kind of shots you get, but I never go anywhere that's that interesting that you want to see a drone shot of it. Maybe where you live, it would be awesome, you know, with the deserts and all the Joshua trees and stuff. That would be pretty awesome where you live. But where I live, there's, you know, within 50 square miles, you're not allowed to fly a drone. So I have to go really far. And then once I get that far out, you know, I have to, I'll get about 20 minutes of airtime, right, with one battery. I only have one battery. You get 20 minutes of airtime, and then you have to charge for a couple of hours. So I'm not going to drive a couple hours out to a place I can fly a drone and then only get 20 minutes of runtime. So yeah, so those are my thoughts. I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool. You'd have to, you know, you'd probably have to get 2, 3, 4 batteries charged up to go out to a place where they allow drone flying. And the drones nowadays have all these electronics in it. They make them very easy to fly. You know, the one I have is a little bit older drone, and it's not a DJI or anything fancy. It's just it's a competent drone, but the controls, you have to be pretty good at controlling the drone, because it darts off everywhere. So my skill set for flying a drone is pretty low. I would need a fully automated one that just says go up, go forward, go back. I would need one that has a P mode, program mode. But yeah, drones, you know, I'm not the right person to ask about drones, because I just don't have the opportunity to fly one very often, if at all. And nothing's that interesting around here. Maybe some farmland I might be able to, but you know, they will shoot your drone down out here. The Asus Zephyrin are amazing. Ryzen GTX 30, yes, the Asus is very good. And today is photo video backup day. Good idea. Jimmy says, I'm going to try it. Didn't know about the hold info button. Yes. That is a hidden feature. There's like one line in the 200-page manual about how to do that. It's in the manual, but it's like, you know, it's not in an obvious place. So, and unless you know it exists, why would you look for it, right? Marco's here. Marco's really an expert on computers, right? His channel, brain fart. Why can't I can't remember your channel name? I can't. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Marco. But Marco has a great channel on computers, live streams every Wednesday, and the name escapes me now. But I have a live stream with Marco last year where we talked about computers that are good for photo editing. So Owen, if you want to watch that video, we go into a lot of detail about different computers, and anything we said last year will apply this year as well, without a question. You'll still be able to find computers this year that were available last year, I guess because of the chip shortage and all that. But look for a live stream with me and Marco from last year. Actually, let me just find it real quick. I'll put a link to it in the chat section. Hot Hardware, that was the name of it. It just came to me. Hot Hardware is the name of the channel. And here's the link to the video. Okay, there's the link to the video with Marco and I talking about it specifically for photo and video editing. Because Marco's channel talks about everything, right? Computer related, mostly gaming, or I wouldn't say mostly, but there's a lot of computer reviews are geared towards gaming, right? But this conversation was specifically about using computers for photo editing. And let's see, Hot Hardware. Here's a link to Hot Hardware. Okay. Lauren says his Kodak holiday flash on a kite didn't work out well. Oh, it's my thing just jumped. And stuff about my dog. Yeah, I should give her a treat. She went out to go get one herself. My dog, you know, sometimes she's not hungry, and I'm like, why? And then I'll go out and find something half-eaten in the backyard. So she's good at catching her own food. I always see feathers laying out in the yard. Jared says, "Do you know me? I work Yahoo Finance." I don't know you, Jared. If you're talking to me, any tips on investments? No, I do not have any tips. Invest in yourself. If someone were to ask me, I'd say always invest in yourself. Always try to be a better person. That's all. That's the only investment advice I can give. And Marco says, "Thanks, Rob. You're the man." Oh, sure. Elecam would be a great idea. Outdoor lighting, do you guys use much? The only time you really need outdoor lighting is usually for video. If you're talking about fixed lighting, like LED lamps and things like that. So I would have to say, no, I don't have an application for it myself. As far as photography is concerned, you know, they're coming out with a lot of LED type lighting that can help in photography. And so if you're doing portrait work, you know, I know how to use flash. I've never invested in any kind of the newer LED lighting that's come out that you would use outdoor lighting for photography. But I would imagine, I hear good things, that LED lighting now is kind of getting there to where you can use it just like you would use a flash, but with all the benefits of continuous lighting. And but flash, I think, is still the the mainstream type way to do lighting outdoors is using flash. And it probably will be for a while until they start coming up with more portable LED lighting that, you know, doesn't require huge battery packs to stay on all the time. Because a flash, you know, you can pop off 500 flashes full power, you know, if you're going to be at full power all the time. Whereas LED lighting, again, it's kind of like how much runtime do you get with continuous lighting, and how many batteries do you have to bring to get the same brightness you would from a flash. So for now, I would say flash is probably still the better way to go if you're going to do outdoor lighting for photography. But that may change, or may be changing already. I just haven't looked into it myself personally. And definitely, obviously, LED lighting is appropriate for video work outdoors. Brian Allison is asking, what HDMI switch do I use? I use the FeelWorld Live Pro L1. I can show you. Now that I got my cameras set up freestyle. So this is the one I use. It's I'm in green screen mode. Let me turn that off. All right, so here is so this allows me to plug in four HDMI plugs, so I can plug in the 4 cameras, and then I output the video feed via USB into my computer. And that's all there is to it. So it plugs in somewhere over here, one of these ports, and this is my G14. This is you guys right here that I'm watching, and that's it. Now there are much cheaper ways to there are much cheaper ways to go, because that's like $400, right? Or it's $300 now. Might be $400 now. I don't know with chip prices and everything. But let me you know, there's also the Blackmagic stuff, I think. HDMI mixer. So let me go to this screen. Oh, seriously. I need to pull up the right monitor. Primary. There we go. So so there's what is this? The Blackmagic ATEM Mini HDMI. I think this is a 4. Yeah, this will do 4. This will do 4 cameras also. This one's very popular. This is the one that I use. This one's been working great for me. And the fact that it has a little LED screen and a T-bar. I don't use the T-bar as much as I used to, but this is actually a really good device also. if you don't want to spend that much, you know, you can spend a lot less. Okay, let me show you this one. Switch box. So that's an HDMI mixer, right? Where you're mixing different signals together. But if you just want to mix 2 signals together or 4 signals, you know, something like this is very simple, right? You just have a remote control and you switch 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like 30 bucks and 5% off, whatever. Oh, this has 5 switch boxes. And look at the reviews on this. This is pretty amazing. I have used this before, not for live streaming, but I've used it in my classroom setting. Not this particular one. I'll show you the one that I used. Mine was more like this. I used a 2-channel one. Let me see. Yeah, this. I think this is the one I have. It lets you put in 2 USB or 2 HDMI ports and 1 HDMI out. But you still need an HDMI to USB converter, which those are like 20 bucks, right? So you can get this and you can get an HDMI converter. So that would be an HDMI to USB, right? So you would need one of these as well. So that's, you know, that's only $14. So you get this and you get that simple switch box and you're all set. Oops. There. Man, I've been on the other green screen the whole time without the chat window. Dang it. I need to fix my background now. Where is it? Dang. So that's what I would do. What happened to my chat window? Okay. So that's a couple ways you can do it, right? You can spend the 300 bucks and get a full-on mixer like I have, which has the HDMI to USB conversion already built in. Or you can go on the cheap for like 20, 30 bucks and get a switch box like that. Now, the main difference between, say, the 2 HDMI switch box and the 3 or 4 HDMI switch box, you know, other than being able to switch more HDMI channels, is once you go above 2, if you get a 3 HDMI switch box or a 4 HDMI switch box, or 5 in this case, like we saw earlier, those switch boxes need their own individual power supply. So keep that in mind. You'll need another plug, right, available for power. But the 2-channel ones, the two-in-ones, don't need external power. They can run using the power from the HDMI cable. So that's why I use it when I teach my classes. I just have this simple HDMI switch box, no additional power needed. So it minimizes the number of cables I have to run on the floor during the class so people don't trip over stuff. And plus it's just cleaner, right? But yeah, that's all there is to it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, that's my Amazon page. EM5 Mark III plate with grip works great. Thanks for the... Oh, yeah, sure, Mark. Yeah, it's a great... Yeah, I think you posted in the forum. There's about a dozen posts on the forum I need to get back to. What's his name? Siegfried put up an interesting post about Workspace version 1.5, which is, you know, the photo editing software from Olympus, you can now apply color wheel type edits to any Olympus camera. So I'm gonna have to test that and see. I mean, you could always do it if you converted your raw images to TIFF. You could always work with the color wheel, but you lose a little bit when you do that. Being able to work with the raw file directly and use the color wheel would be interesting. So what can you do with the color wheel? Well, you can start to emulate. You know, you can get more creative with how the colors look in your image, or try to simulate like Kodachrome or maybe Fujifilm. You can do all kinds of things. Siegfried has a great website. So if you go to my forum and look for Siegfried's post, you'll find that one, and then you'll find a link to his blog, which is really awesome. So I definitely recommend you guys do that. And Mark Snyder says, camera cage like small rig for Olympus cameras, can't find any specifically made. Yeah, I haven't seen any. I mean, I saw one before for the EM1 Mark II, but that's gone now off of Amazon. I don't know if you can go to Small Rig's website directly and find it. Let me just take a quick look. Just type Olympus and see. Yeah, I got nothing. Products, camera. They have nothing Olympus here. Logging. Boo! Boo, Small Rig. Nothing for Olympus. Boo! That is, that's not right. Yeah, sorry. Where's my chat window? Rob, you need a new Mustang with a stick shift. Redhead riding, showing shotgun, and Ellie in the back. Just works. Even has a trunk. The i4 Turbo is around 300 horsepower. Mustangs are pretty nice. Like a little Mustang convertible would be freaking awesome. I'm a little leery of buying domestic vehicles anymore. I'm really, you know, Toyota, Mazda, Honda kind of guy. Like I like the reputation and reliability, reputation of the Japanese vehicles. Because every time I've had a Honda, me or my family, I should say, have Hondas and Mazda and a Toyota, not one single issue ever. But man, everything else, because I've had Jaguar, BMW, Mercedes, Cadillac, you know, the typical go-to luxury vehicles, right? Jaguar. Yeah, not constant, but enough problems that I had no hesitation trading them in to get something else. So, you know, my Jeep has been pretty good, but it's had its share of problems, but from the previous owner, like Walter. Well, I bought the Jeep from Walter. There's a folder this thick. I wonder if it's in my drawer here. No, it's in my downstairs cabinet. It's this thick with repairs and service. So I'm really a Toyota Mazda guy now, because Mazda's no, you know, I got 60,000 miles on my Mazda, not one Not one issue, not even a check engine light, which are constant on every other vehicle I've ever owned. Either the check engine or something, right? Something just stopped working. And that's not to say that, you know, lots of people have cars that have no problems, you know, whether it's domestic or German or British. But I'm just not in a position, if I'm going to buy a car, if something breaks on it, to be able to afford to fix it, you know? I don't know. I mean, there's some cars I would buy. Well, let's not talk about cars. But you know, my dream car actually is like an 88 or 89 Mercedes 560 SL. I think those things are beautiful, handmade, beautiful cars. The problem is finding one in good condition. They're expensive. And the maintenance, fortunately, is not too bad. I can find a good mechanic that'll charge a reasonable amount. You can find parts for it at reasonable prices. But it's, you know, it's a 30-year-old car, right? So things are going to just deteriorate. The plastics, which it doesn't have a lot of, but enough where the plastics and the rubbers in the vehicle are going to deteriorate and need to be replaced. So that's why it's hard to find one in good condition. That would be my dream cruiser, man. Just a V8 convertible and just go down. I don't know. Anyway, an Avalon V6. Yeah, I like the V6s. The Mazda 3, CX-30. Yeah, all of those. No Tesla, man. Let me tell you, I don't want to be an early adopter of electric vehicles. I'll wait another 5 or 6 years and see before I go full on electric. Because right now there's not enough charging stations anywhere. Like, I couldn't find a charging station now to save my life. And then every time I use my electric mower and I get about halfway through my yard and the battery dies, I'm thinking, yeah, this is what a Tesla owner goes through every day, stressing over the battery life. Because, you know, most of my trips are pretty long when I go somewhere. Either I'm, you know, in terms of time and run time. Like, you know, it could take me a couple hours just to go 20, 30 miles here. People in California can appreciate what I'm talking about, or if you live in this area, you know what I'm talking about. Traffic is a freaking nightmare, and I would not want to get stuck in an electric vehicle. Now, that said, I've never seen a Tesla pulled over, like, because it was out of juice, right? But I have been behind Tesla drivers that are driving like turtles, you know, and that's because I know their battery's low. So I'm just not ready yet. I'm still a little bit anxious. I would just be sweating bullets all the time about my battery in my freaking Tesla, you know, anytime I go somewhere. So it's nice with a gasoline or a hybrid vehicle. I would go hybrid, no problem. Like a little hybrid RAV4 would be perfect. I've been looking at those, but not a full-on electric. I just don't think we're ready yet. We don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the range that I would need. You know, for little, you know, trips to the grocery store and stuff. Yeah, fine, but yeah, if you gotta travel as a photographer and go places, like my trip tomorrow, my photo job is 50 miles away from my house, 54 miles through traffic. So I can't imagine taking a Tesla out there. And then in the wintertime, forget it. You know, your battery life is like half. You know, instead of a 200-mile range, you're down to a 100-mile range. And I'm not going to sit there and charge my car for 3-4 hours just to get home. But I don't own a Tesla, so I don't know what life is like with a Tesla. But this is the kind of anxiety and fear as a consumer I would have about buying an electric vehicle. And they're very personal to me. I don't want my opinion to influence anyone else's decision on this. So I'm more of a hybrid guy, or just, you know, regular four-banger, something like that. Ellie's always fully charged. Yeah, she is full on, especially if she's hungry. She's a pain in the butt. Kia has 10-year warranty, makes some sports cars. The K5 is with optional engine. Yeah, true. Does anyone here even own a Tesla? I'd be curious. I mean, they're really cool looking cars, and it's really amazing what, you know, they have done in a short amount of time to go from never making a car before to making, you know, a viable electric vehicle is no small feat. So Elon Musk or whoever it is, I don't know who it is, whoever owns or started that company, you know, hats off. That is a tremendous accomplishment. And, you know, I don't want to take anything away from that. It's just me as a consumer. It just would not make any sense. I just don't see how charging overnight. I guess I could set up a 220 volt system and you can charge in about 4 hours, but you know, tank of gas takes 5 minutes, you know, and you're good for 500 miles, at least in my car. A mannequin with no face, there's no radiator opening. The Kia Stinger, that's a cool looking car. I think that's the one that has the hatch in the back too, which is really cool. I do like the Stinger a lot. I like it a lot. I just can't afford it. It's like 50,000. Even a used one is probably 30. I haven't looked at them, but I know they're way too expensive. You know, my budget is less than 20,000 for a car. And even that is pushing it, you know. And the fact that my Mazda has been so reliable, I don't have any motivation to trade it in. The last 3 cars, my Volkswagen Jetta, my Volkswagen Beetle, before that I had another Volkswagen Beetle. I was a big Beetle fan. I love Volkswagen Beetles. I miss my Beetle so bad. I just love that car. But I think... But I traded those 3 VWs in every time because there was a freaking problem with it. You know, my first Beetle that I traded, transmission was going out. And it only had like 60,000 miles on it. My Jetta, TDI Jetta, let's not even get into the diesel fiasco, right? It was a diesel, turbo diesel. You know, it had issues with the intercooler and the fuel pump. And then my Beetle, I said, okay, forget about diesel. So I went and I got a diesel, a gasoline-powered Beetle. I got the Fender edition with the wood dash. I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful car. The timing belt chain had a defect in it and bent one of the valves in the engine. Again, only about 60,000 miles on this car. So I traded that thing in, and I will give Volkswagen kudos, at least on the Jetta and the Beetle. They offered to pay for any repairs that I incurred, even though they were out of warranty. But I'm not driving around a car that leaves me stranded. You know what I mean? So after I got rid of the Beetle, my last one, I said, I'm just going to get, and I miss the Volkswagen Beetle. But I said, I'm going to get a Japanese vehicle. So I was teetering between a Toyota and a Mazda and Honda. But I thought the new Accord was just so ugly. Camrys are so boring. Oh my God. I just could not bring myself to get a Camry. The Mazda, at least it's a sedan. Yeah, put you to sleep drive. You know, it's just boring, but it's still sportier than the Honda and the Toyota, and it has really good. I've had really good luck with Mazdas in the past, so that's why I got a Mazda 6 for the size. You know, for the reasons I talked about earlier. I now why did I bring this up? Because we were talking about the Stinger. Yeah, the Stinger's 35. Yeah, that's still way over my budget. I mean, I need a car payment like around 300-400 a month max. I mean, max. You know, my Mazda is almost paid for. I could probably pay it off this year, but man, I can't drop 300-400 a month on a car. That's way over my budget. And most cars are more than that, right? $600-700 a month. I don't know how people do it. Too bad car cameras can't record images. You just drive and not have to get out of your car. Would that work for? Oh, the dash cams. Yeah, I use a dash cam. I'm sure you've seen my videos, right? With using my dash cam. Oh, the TLXs are really nice. Yeah. Yeah, Marco. They're just better Hondas, right? The Acuras. Never buy on time. Ben Franklin knew this. Anyhow, let me give you guys a couple of other updates that happened last week. Well, at least one. I have to renew my driver's license since we're talking about cars. I had to renew my driver's license, and because of my age, they require I get my eyes checked and certified that, you know, I don't need to wear glasses and all of that. And you guys know me, I've complained about my vision constantly, right? I can't see things this close to me, right? It's impossible. Or even this is a little bit hard. So seeing the live view screen in a setting, some days I have a hard time seeing this, so I have to use the EVF, which I normally do anyway. But when I use the live view screen, I can just barely make out the numbers on here. So I went and I got an eye test, right? Eye exam. And I can't believe it. I got 20/20 vision, except for I'm a little farsighted. So she recommended I get the 150s. You know, this is a 150 reading glasses, which I use, which, you know, makes a huge difference. But for reading, but I don't need glasses for driving, which I can't believe because I can definitely tell my vision is not what it used to be. When I'm driving, when I'm looking at scenes and doing my photography, and certainly up close is a problem. But apparently my eyes are good enough to drive, no problem. She came out 20/20, and I have a 160-degree field of view, and then no other issues. I just could not believe it. So now I'm thinking about people that actually have to wear prescription glasses, what your world might be like without them. I can't believe it. I can't believe people are walking around with totally blurred vision. Because to me, if my eyes get any worse, I'm gonna be really upset if they get any worse than this and have to wear prescription glasses. So I can't imagine for those of you that have to wear prescription glasses, what it's like without them. That would just drive me insane. I mean, I guess you get used to anything and you wear your glasses or contacts, but still, my point is I was shocked that my vision was as good as it was when I thought it was terrible. It's not unlike when I see old pictures of myself and I'm like, man, I wish I was as fat as I was when what's the saying? I wish I was as skinny as I was when I thought I was fat. Because I look at some pictures from years ago and I'm thinking, man, back then I thought I had to lose weight. But now when I look, I'm like, man, I was so skinny back then. And now my eyes, I think about, you know, back then how good my vision was. I mean, it was exceptional, I guess. I never knew it was exceptional, but I must have had exceptional vision when I was younger. Because I could see everything. I mean, I could read the Constitution off a grain of rice. You know what I mean? Those people that paint on the grain of rice. I mean, my eyesight was so good. And being in this position now where I can't even see the buttons, like, is that F1? I don't know. Could be. Maybe not. I don't know. Is this F2? Is this the ISO? But I mean, I can't see the little icons on the freaking camera without glasses. You know, but back in the day, crystal clear. I mean, like the little watch batteries, right? Little tiny watch batteries have the writing on them, the numbers like 352 or 350. I would just look at it. Yeah, 350, 352, AG, 25, whatever. No problem at all. Now, oh my God, I can't even read the watch battery even with these. You know, I have to get a magnifying glass out. Oh. So that was that. And yeah, wait till arthritis sets in. And you get used to glasses like you do. Yes, I agree. You just put it on every day. And Marco says, I wore glasses since the 3rd grade. At 22, got my eyes fixed and have had perfect vision. Yes, I guess they do that laser stuff now, right? Been wearing glasses since the 6th grade school years and have floaters for decades. Yeah. And she recommended these eye drops that, I don't know, because if you see my videos, a lot of them, my eyes are bloodshot, you know? Even when I use the Visine and stuff, sometimes they don't clear up. And I talked to her about that, and she said, yeah, Visine, sometimes you get an opposite reaction if you use it too much. It'll make your eyes even redder. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. So she recommended these artificial tears or fake tears type drops. I think it's called TheraTears or something. So I'm trying that now. And I'm going to see if that helps keep my eyes at least not getting bloodshot all the time. I can't tell you how many times in my life people would ask me, are you high? What are you on? Give me some, you know? I mean, seriously, because my eyes are always kind of red, people think I'm high or on crack or something. I'm like, no, it's just my eyes are always red. They have been my whole life, you know? Now, if they start turning yellow, I'll be a little bit more concerned, right? Are they red or are they yellow, you know? If they're yellow, yeah, that could be a problem. But just a little bit of redness is okay. Lauren is killing me. I did get your email, Lauren, yesterday. It's either yesterday. Yeah, I think it was yesterday you sent me an email. I just haven't had a chance to. I skimmed your email, but I haven't had a chance to read it thoroughly to give you a competent response. Or not competent. I should say a lucid response, I should say. And that's the thing. A lot of times I'll see everybody's emails and comments and everything, but it takes me a while to get back. Because I want to give at least a competent, or at least at the very least a lucid response to your email or question or comment. So bear with me, because I don't know why. I've been kind of low energy lately. So I bought a case of Red Bull yesterday, and see if that'll help. Because I hate brewing coffee all the time. I'm just tired of it. So I'm gonna try a Red Bull and see if that does the trick to help me get through the afternoon. Because, man, after lunchtime, it is nap time. From about 2 to 5, I'm like, I'm out. And then at 5 o'clock, my favorite shows come on. And then it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Then I'm like, screw it, too late to start making a video. And then I just go to bed. And then I get up the next day. And speaking of making videos, the video I made on the flash or white balance, the one-touch white balance, oh my God, I got so many mosquito bites. I am covered in hydrocortisone right now. You guys have no idea. It's starting to wear off because I put it on a few hours ago. I'm just lathered up with hydrocortisone. I got so many freaking mosquito bites. It's embarrassing. I would show you, but I don't want to gross you guys out. But it's starting to itch again. I don't know why I'm a mosquito magnet. I got one here, all over here, a couple more here. Some of them, man, they get right on the vein. I don't know how they do it. And then they're biting through my clothes too somehow. It's just, because what it is, I'm standing here like this, right, taking the picture. That gives them time to penetrate the clothing and bite in and get me. So now my legs, oh my God, they itch so much right now. I might have to call it. See, as soon as I scratch it, it itches worse. And that's the problem with itching, right? When you itch, you scratch something, it itches more. And that's a psychological thing. Your brain triggers scratching and itching, and it's just a vicious cycle. Take garlic pills. Yeah, it keeps the ladies away too, just so you know. I was taking a look because I wanted a 10 millimeter. Oh, wait, sorry, there's a legit question here. Okay, Randy, we'll see you later. I was taking a look just because I wanted a 10 millimeter lens for Olympus, like a 20 full frame, but not many out there. Strange as 20 is made by all full frame companies. Yeah, the closest you're going to get is a zoom, like a 9-18, or the 7-14. But prime lens wise, yeah, I don't know of any 10 millimeters. 10 millimeter. The closest is the 12 millimeter prime. Other than that, you have to go zoom. But that is curious though, right? There is a lot of 20 millimeter primes out there for full frame. You would think it'd be kind of like one of the something on Olympus's roadmap or Panasonic, either way, to make a 10 millimeter lens, because that's definitely much wider than the 12 millimeter. And if you need that kind of width, a 10 millimeter f2 would be great. You know, that would probably take sales away from the 12 millimeter f2. But a 10 millimeter f2 would be awesome. It's the third scratch that does it. Too late. I'm going to have to lather up in some hydrocortisone again. Otherwise, I'll scratch my skin off bare and... But okay, everyone, I think I'm going to call it here. I really enjoyed our time together today. I appreciate you coming out on my off day. I won't be able to live stream on, on tomorrow, Tuesday, like I normally do, so that's why I did it today. But it's great seeing everyone again. I'm glad you could make it. And I'm going to try and do a photo editing live stream again this week. I think Thursday's clear. I just have to double check my calendar. Dang it. I have to double check my calendar. And but I will try and do a photo editing live stream. So you guys have a good rest of your week. Happy Labor Day for those of you here in the US. And thanks again for watching. Boom.